The King's Avatar, Chapter 1288. Big Surprise. Audio source, WuXiaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1288. Big Surprise. Translator, Noam Yummy. Editor, Noam Yummy. The Spring Festival passed in the blink of an eye, and the various players made their way back to their teams. Unlike other people who could slowly readjust to their work after a long break, pro players need to quickly adjust their condition back to normal. Round 20 of the league matches was right in front of them. On the sixth day of the Spring Festival, January 28, Happy's players were already beginning to return to the team. When he returned, he obtained the account card that had received a complete makeover. He was Happy's weak point, the target of many opponents' strategies, and Happy had made many plans and arrangements revolving around him. His existence seemed like such a burden, and the outside world's cries for Happy to find a qualified healer player had never broken. And when you knew all of this better than anyone, for a new player, the pressure on him was extremely high. But when you persisted, he knew that his own abilities were limited, and he knew that Yishu had dug him out of the game not for any talent he had but out of helpless desperation. And when Yi at least had some special trait and stood out just a tiny bit among the ordinary crowd, there was still a lot he needed to work on. And when Yi knew this clearly, and so he was always working hard. He hoped that he could gain something. During the entire winter season, in fact, he'd held worry in his heart. Before, Happy had chosen him because they had no other choice. But now, with Happy's current results, they could definitely attract a better healer. And when Yi was truly quite scared that he would be replaced just like that. Especially because he was such a logical person, he felt that Happy's doing so would indeed solve the problem once and for all. Every day after the winter transfer window opened, he carried this worry. But it seemed that Happy didn't have any intention of making any moves during this transfer window, which reassured him a little. And then during the Spring Festival, and he went home to celebrate the holiday. Even then, and when he didn't dare slack off, and he continued his harsh training. But on the last night he was at home, he still had a nightmare. Chen Guo came to find him, telling him that a new cleric player arrived to the team, and Wen Yi was now left to fend for himself. She only told him now because she wanted to let him enjoy the holiday first. And Wen Yi was frightened awake in a cold sweat. A method like, let you enjoy the holiday first, which took into account the human feelings involved, was definitely something that fit Chen Guo's style. After that dream, he had no way of falling back asleep. The next day, he returned to the team. Carrying the mood that the nightmare had brought him, he returned to Happy. He returned to the training room, and Chen Guo pushed the account card for Little Cold Hands back into his hands. In that moment, Wen Yi's heart finally relaxed. There were only a few days left in the transfer window. It looked like the team really didn't plan to find anyone to replace him. And then, as he inserted the card and logged onto his character, and when you found that in the room, Yishu, Sima Cheng, and Chen Guo were all looking at him strangely, as though waiting for something. And Wen Yi suddenly had another bad feeling. But he never could have predicted that. When he logged onto the account, and checked the character's status and equipment as usual, he was suddenly blinded by an eyeful of silver words. Silver equipment? 1 piece, another piece, in total 13 pieces. A full set of silver equipment. And Wen Yi was stunned. How about it, still recognizable? Chen Guo came up to him with a smile. This is the cool and logical, and Wen Yi was stammering. High intelligence, high crit, it should fit you very well. Become the fiercest cleric in glory. Yishu said, this is really too great. Quote. And Wen Yi's mood was complicated, but he wasn't someone who could open his mouth and burst forth with eloquent poetry. In the end, when he opened his mouth, he only gave this simple sentence of praise. He worried that the team would give up on him. But in the end, the team hadn't given up. They'd actually created a whole new set of silver equipment for him. A complete set, the first complete set of silver equipment in Happy. For him. Someone who was nothing more than Happy's weak point, Happy's vulnerability, the one in Happy who was most viewed as dragging everyone down. And when Yi logically thought that he would be replaced, but he was met with the team's illogical response. He hated the illogical, but at this moment, he had no idea what he could say aside from, "Really great. Keep working hard," Chen Guo said. "Yes." Quote. And when Yi nodded his head firmly. Not only did the team have patience towards him, they had belief in him. And he could only repay them with his determination and loyalty. But don't take this equipment to join dungeon teams in-game. If you lost it, that'd be bad, Chen Guo added, laughing. Ah, you know. Quote. There was an added weight to Chen Guo's reminder, so and when Yi immediately realized what Chen Guo was actually saying. Not bad, Chen Guo praised him. And when Yi's sweat dropped, his diligent and harsh training had caused so many complaints and made countless victims. In order to improve, and when Yi could only toughen his skin and continue because he truly couldn't think of any more effective method. In a dungeon, he had to observe the whole situation and choose the skill and grasp the timing and make judgments and position and so on and so forth. Compared to pure reaction training, and when Yi felt that this method would allow him to reap greater benefits. Because and when Yi had been training non-stop ever since he joined Happy, but to be honest, after a year and a half the improvement in his reaction times were complete unsatisfactory. It looked like he was naturally limited in this area, and so from early on he'd searched for breakthroughs in other areas. And this sort of grinding training seemed to him an explosive way to improve himself. Alright, since you just got back, take a rest for now. When everyone gets here we'll start practicing again, Yi Shu said to An Wen Yi. I'm not tired, I'll take another look. And when Yi was fiddling with little cold hands clad in all silver equipment. Yi Shu smiled and didn't stop him. With this, Happy had given An Wen Yi a huge Lunar New Year's gift. But they hadn't expected that someone had also brought back a huge Lunar New Year's gift for Happy. Wu Chen, after returning, didn't immediately return to the guild department. With a smile, he logged onto his own account in the training room and then displayed the guild's inventory for everyone to see. Surprised. Before, it was Yi Shu and the others waiting to enjoy An Wen Yi's expression. And this time, it was Wu Chen's turn to wait and enjoy their expressions. This is. Chen Guo was dumbstruck. WuxiaWorldAudio.com. She'd created this team, but her in-game life still continued, and she had an approximate understanding of how many materials the guild had. But she didn't have the habit of checking too often because she felt that that would be hovering over the guild work, and she didn't want to do that. So Chen Guo, as the boss, actually paid less attention to the guild's storage than she had as an ordinary guild member. She didn't remember when was the last time she'd checked on Happy's stores. But no matter what, these pages upon pages of filled boxes was almost ridiculous, especially the numerous rare materials included within. From the event, quote, in the end, Yi Shu reacted first. Although there weren't many rare materials, there was no way they'd come from wild bosses. Only so many wild bosses could spawn in 1 week's time. These could only have come from the Lunar New Year event. Yup. Unexpected, right? Everyone is very enthusiastic, you know. Wu Chen said. Everyone? Chen Guo was confused. The fans of Team Happy. Wu Chen said proudly. As the guild leader, Wu Chen could be considered the member of Happy who had the most interactions with ordinary gamers and fans. He watched as Happy's fanbase grew bigger and bigger, and he had the greatest impression of the fans' enthusiasm. Although a club guild could gather a large number of fan players, these players ultimately came to play the game, not to do any work for the team. So, the club could only directly control a portion of full-time or half-time players. And for these, the club need to pay them for the benefits. They weren't reliant on fans' love and support. But Happy wasn't quite the same right now. A new team with outstanding results. The fans that they'd gathered were still fresh in their excited support. They gave their time and effort simply out of love without keeping track of the cost. And this time during the Lunar New Year event, players in Guild Happy voluntarily organized groups to build the bricks and tiles that the team need, and they received a roaring answer. Later, many players who hadn't joined Guild Happy but were still fans of Team Happy all came to participate. They earned materials and sent them to Guild Happy without hesitation. Because of this massive, widespread, passionate support, Guild Happy's storage grew full to bursting in just a few short days. This is really too great. Chen Guo also entered the state, and when Yi had experienced earlier, didn't know how else to express praise. It's not just Heavenly Domain, either. The stores in all the normal servers also earned a lot from this event. Wu Chen said. Then, we really need to thank everyone. Chen Guo was deeply moved, immediately going to Happy's official Weibo account to post a thank you message. Very soon, numerous people flocked to comment and reblog. The team had received their support, which made the fans very happy. The screen displayed non-stop everyone's shouts of well wishes and encouragements, so many that there was no way for Chen Guo to reply to them all. Happy now had its own official website as well. Chen Guo immediately went over there, prepared to write a more official and formal thank you message, but after clutching her head for a while, she felt that there was no way she could express her current emotions in writing. She sat there in a daze. This is really too powerful. You organized this? Yishu asked Wu Chen. I can only say that everyone's emotions accumulated into this. Plus, everyone can see Happy's condition right now, and that we need this kind of support. Wu Chen said, smiling. This is really a great surprise. Yishu said, voice filled with emotion. It's just that the rare materials are a bit lacking. The game system is still selfish. Wu Chen sighed. Even ordinary materials are good. Yishu smiled. Now that they were prepared to make orange equipment in the equipment editor, the number of rare materials they need would greatly decrease. They'd only just discussed this plan at the Lunar New Year dinner, and now the guild brought them this huge explosion. Happy's fortune in the new year was really incomparably strong, and Chapter
The King's Avatar, Chapter 1289, second half of the season. Audio source, WurshaWorldAudiobook.com. Chapter 1289, second half of the season. Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. Little Cold Hands complete set of silver equipment. A new equipment creation methodology. The fans' boom in material donations during the Spring Festival. These non-stop, pleasant surprises took a while for Team Happy to digest. However, they couldn't bask in celebrations for too long, since round 20 was in 2 days. This was Happy's home game, so the team did not need to travel arduously. However, it could be said that their opponents this round were the strongest within the entire alliance. Team Samsara stood before Team Happy again after half a season's worth of matches. 19 rounds ago in round 1, the reigning champions showed their dominance to the team fresh out of the Challenger League. After 19 rounds though, most were seeing Happy in a completely different light. No one still considered Happy to be a grassroots team. This was a team that was shoulder to shoulder with Blue Rain, Tiny Herb and Tyranny, with 130 points each. Also, Team Samsara was no longer undefeated. In round 19, which happened the previous round, they lost to Team 100 Blossoms. In the Pro League, there was no such thing as impossible. In their previous encounter, Happy lost to Samsara 0-10. It could be considered a complete and utter defeat. This time, the media was sure to label this a grudge match, and fans of Happy were hoping for Happy to take revenge. Although everyone was paying attention to this match, all the reporters of the big media companies were still focused on the transfer market. The end of the winter transfer window was in less than 3 days, and every team had only made minor adjustments so far. Were none of the teams going to make any big changes this winter? That was improbable. Wind howl and misty rain had proven themselves unsuccessful for the first half of the season. Even the fans' support might waver if they didn't make any significant changes in the winter, especially for Team Wind Howl, who were very vocal when they tried to acquire Zhang Xinji from Tyranny. Why did they fall silent after the offer of 20 million? The media waited for a big move from these teams in vain. Instead, they received word that Team 301 expressed interest in Royal Styles' Tiansen and his ex-Sorcist Peaceful Hermit. Apparently they had already made an offer to Royal Style. 301 was currently in 10th with 98 points. Royal Styles' performance was abysmal, ranked 13th with only 82 points, even losing to the New Miracle. Royal Styles' points were dismal, and the transfer market's atmosphere this season was also dismal. Furthermore, the long-term sponsor of Peaceful Hermit was losing patience with Royal Style. There was already leaked information that they would not be working with Royal Style after the end of this season. Royal Style was a powerhouse past its prime. In Season 1, they had battled Excellent Era for the title of champions. Their decline was hard for many to witness. Royal Style would be the most suitable representative ever has been in the alliance if it wasn't for the freakishly quick decline of Excellent Era. In this sad state, even a forever sideline team like 301 wanted a slice of their pie. And this slice was the former Top God character, Peaceful Hermit. Team 301 has fully revealed their ambitions. After their long-term captain Yang Kong stepped down from the team's core position, they actually took the stance that they would like to shake things up. Royal Styles' performance had declined year by year. Their financial situation was no better, being limited by their core player Tiansen. The timing of 301's move was picking at Royal Styles' Achilles heel. What would happen if Tiansen and Peaceful Hermit really transferred to 301? There were already people who couldn't resist fantasizing about this. This purchase would definitely end up in 301's core lineup, along with their captain Yang Kong, who had stepped aside but could still throw down with the best of them, and the new recruit, the mysterious Bai Shu. The reporters always thought that Bai Shu was no ordinary player. However, after much investigation, they could only prove that he was not a member of 301's training camp. Although at the age of 22, wouldn't he be way too much of a late bloomer if he really was from the training camp? If he wasn't from the training camp or another team, where did 301 pluck him from? He was also directly given control of 301's existing Nike character. With no previous characters to explore, the reporters were out of options and could only wait for 301 to reveal some information on their own terms. However, 301 had put that idea to the side for now and instead made plans to acquire Royal Styles' Tiansen and Peaceful Hermit. The biggest commotion in the winter transfer window actually came from Team 301, who only had a small role in the playoffs for many years. This was very surprising for everyone. Regrettably, this show didn't get another act. Tiansen personally expressed his intention to stay at Royal Style no matter what. Peaceful Hermit belongs with Royal Style. His inheritance will never be severed while he's in my hands. Quote, this is the resounding statement that Tiansen made through the media, thus ending any plans 301 had for a purchase. There would never be a shortage of idealistic individuals within the alliance. All players shared the desire to be champions, but all players also had their own goals, their own ideals that they would never abandon. Tiansen refused to abandon his team for his own advancement, and further expressed that he was willing to take a salary cut to reduce the financial burden on his team. Tiansen's actions was praised by many. A pro player did not only shine on the battlefield. In this moment, Qian Sen's personal character far outshined the god-level character that he controlled in the game. Such a rare opportunity for a big transfer ended just like that. The media did not get what they were waiting for, so they could only dutifully report the regular situations and predictions for the second half of the season. Round 20 was finally set to begin. The arrival of the reigning champions once again allowed the focal point of the alliance to be brought to Seocean Stadium. On match day, countless Glory fans roamed around helplessly, hoping against hope that they would encounter someone who wanted to return their ticket to the match. At around 6 o'clock, Team Samsara's bus pulled into Seocean Stadium. The players entered the stadium while flanked by the on-site security, through packs of fans and media personnel. There was no shortage of attention for the reigning champions. And what about the players of Team Happy? At around 6:30, they left from the back door of Happy Internet Cafe and crossed the road. There was even someone eating a piece of fruit. They arrived in the most low-key fashion. WuxaWorldAudio.com. The two teams entered their own prep rooms respectively. They performed some final touches, such as collecting their thoughts, revising their battle plan, and making any last-minute adjustments before the match. After this, at around 7:40, the two teams entered the stage. There was no need for a fancy opening for such an anticipated match. The viewers' enthusiasm would be sparked as soon as the players entered via their entrances. Team Samsara displayed the terror of being the reigning champions. Their fans fully filled the area of the stands specifically for the away team supporters. They immediately created a deafening commotion, loudly yelling out their team and their players' names. Samsara's banner fluttered in mid-air in Seocean Stadium. In the first half of the season, this banner was only placed below their opponents once, and that was to Team 100 Blossoms in Blossoms Stadium. This time, the banner waved rather menacingly, as Samsara was facing Happy, who they had swept previously in a 10-0. After an ordinary opening of introducing the players, handshakes and greetings, each team made their way towards their player stands and waited for the match to begin. In the broadcast, the casters Pan Lin and Lee Yibo had already turned the show into You Guess, No, You. Will Team Happy once again send out Yizhu first in the individual competition? We know that from the 19 rounds that have been played so far, Yizhu's win streak in the individual competition is 18 rounds. It's off by 1 because he didn't play in the individual competition in the first round match against Samsara. Well, how would Happy go about this match against Samsara? Coach Lee, if Yizhu doesn't appear in the individual competition this match, will his win streak count as broken? Pan Lin asked. From the way the alliance calculates their statistics, this would count as breaking his win streak. A win streak constitutes continuous victories. If you stopped playing for one match, then that breaks the continuity. If you then resumed and won, we could only call it a perfect win rate, and not a win streak. Lee Yibo explained. Well, Coach Lee, do you think Yizhu will have a perfect win rate or maintain his win streak? Pan Lin asked. I reckon Yizhu will not shy away. His win streak is like the insurance for Team Happy's morale. He would dampen it if he chose not to play. Lee Yibo said. Then what about Samsara's side? Will they send out Zhou Zekai or Sun Xiang to attempt to end Yizhu's win streak? Pan Lin started his guessing game once again. This will probably depend what the Samsara players themselves want. It doesn't seem likely for Zhou Zekai to try. As for Sun Xiang, I think it's possible that he might even put himself forward. Lee Yibo did not dare to be too concrete with his words. Then let's wait and see. The two commentators finally concluded their guessing game. Okay, the match is about to begin. Pan Lin saw that the referee has approached the players' stands of each team so they could send out their players. Let's see who Team Happy sends out. Pan Lin called out, while the cameras quickly panned to Happy's player seats. Yishu. It's Yishu. Pan Lin shouted loudly. At Happy's bench, Yishu stood up, waved at the clamoring fans to acknowledge him, and walked towards the competent booths. What about Samsara? Pan Lin continued shouting. The camera shots cut about wildly. On Samsara's side, the first player for the individual competition also stood up. It's Jiang Botao, Pan Lin said, after glancing at Li Yibo. This time, Happy didn't slap their faces. Rather, it was Samsara. Albeit, it was more of a gentle pat across the cheek. Zhou Zekai, Sun Xiang, neither appeared. Samsara has sent out their vice-captain, the Spellblade player Jiang Botao. It looks like Samsara didn't want to allow Yishu's win streak to disrupt their rhythm too much. Jiang Botao has been sent out in the first round of the individual competition quite frequently in the past. It looks like Samsara didn't put much thought into what we were discussing earlier. Let's see how Jiang Botao plans to play. Li Yibo skimmed over the arrangement. Nomyami rematch, Happy vs Samsara. Vote for who you think will win End chapter. The King's Avatar, Chapter 1290. Who counters who? Audio source, wushaworldaudiobook.com. Chapter 1290. Who counters who? Translator, Nomyami. Editor, Nomyami. The match quickly began. The map that Yishu chose with the home team advantage was once again a simple and straightforward one. The strategy that he chose was to fight head-on. This was quite surprising as an old general's strongest weapon was experience. Choosing a map that contained a lot of complexities would be advantageous for him. But not Yishu. Armed with the unspecialized, he would always pick a map that allowed him to play aggressively. And up until now, no one had been able to stand up to his aggression. In this match against Happy, Samsara had not chosen to specifically counter this arrangement. As Li Yibo said, sending out Jiang Botao first was a very ordinary, comfortable arrangement for Samsara. When the characters loaded and saw the simple map, there was nothing else to do but to charge forward. Senior, you can't keep winning. You have to leave us juniors something to aim to surpass. Jiang Botao started chatting with Yishu over the public chat. The Alliance had stressed that use of the voice chat was being discussed, but they had yet to reach a decision. For now, everything remained unchanged. This rule was not actually that important for the Alliance in terms of gameplay. Why did the Alliance ban voice chat in the beginning? It was for easier broadcasting. The players could not talk and had to use text to chat, making it easier for the viewers to see their communications and strategies. There was no other intention besides this. If the players used voice chat, then the broadcasters wouldn't have it as easy. Further, if they splitted the voice chat into a public one and two more, one for each team, then how do they decide which voice chat to tune in at any given time? Opening voice chat would allow the players to communicate fully, but the viewer's experience would not be the same as before, where they could catch every small detail in the communications. The current scene was a great example. Everyone loved seeing the banter between players. If it were voice chat and the broadcaster had to switch the sound around, a lot would be missed. In the end, the Alliance was currently still in discussions with the broadcasters with no outcome yet. For now, everyone was still using text to communicate in this match. Well, of course. On this side, Yishu actually went and agreed with Jiang Botao. Everyone was surprised, but a second message followed quickly. That's why I didn't play in round 1. No matter how well I do, my win streak can only reach 37. See, I left you a whole round's worth to surpass. Just play. Jiang Botao wasn't really trash talking. He liked to chat a little with others. But now, he really couldn't keep chatting after what Yi Shu said. Why don't you give Senior a hand? Perhaps just type GG? Yi Shu pressed on. Senior, please stop joking around. Jiang Botao said. It's not like it makes a difference in the outcome. Yi Shu continued. Regardless, I should at least give it a shot. Jiang Botao wasn't affected by Yi Shu's taunting. He still chatted as if this was a regular conversation. The two characters met after these few words. Yi Shu did not control Lord Grim use his long-ranged attacks hurriedly. He allowed the characters to continue to get closer. Just as he was about to step into the enemy Spellblade's attack range, Lord Grim suddenly accelerated. Movement skill. This had already become a signature move of the unspecialized Lord Grim. It seemed that Yi Shu didn't plan to play cat and mouse with his opponent at a mid to long range. Rather, he planned to get up close to deal with his opponent. Yi Shu's Lord Grim had always played like this. He had never kitted his opponent, not even when equipped with plenty of mid to long range methods of attack, or against an opponent who could only attack at close range. He always fought aggressively for the initiative and used any means possible to seize it. A Xing Cup flashed out, and Lord Grim raced forward several units in an instant. Jiang Botao already saw through Yi Shu's intentions, and Empty Waves retreated back. He leapt backwards while the silver short sword Divine Chain glinted. An earthquake sword rolled forth. Jiang Botao, the vice-captain of Samsara, had gained increasing popularity by the year as Samsara won back-to-back championships. But his technical skill and style did not really have any uniqueness to it like many other players did. His play was very ordinary, neither unexpected nor low-key. Games would finish seemingly very naturally. In other words, Jiang Botao's matches didn't have waves of highs and lows where large portions of health were traded. The damage would accumulate steadily, and he would eventually win by slowly accumulating small advantages. It didn't matter whether those who lost to him were AEAD or behind during the match, they would always come out of it feeling like they lost by that much. However, regardless of how little that much was, a loss was still a loss in the end. At first, people were of the opinion that Jiang Botao had frighteningly accurate calculations. However, they gradually realized this was not the case. It was more accurate to say that he did not let a single detail slip. Jiang Botao was that type of meticulous player, whether it was in the individual or team competence. He would consider and deal with any possibility that would arise in battle. Because of this, it was very hard for anyone to score a high combo against him. Jiang Botao was seemingly a counter to Yi Shu in this regard. Yi Shu's unspecialized focused on an unbroken combo in a one-on-one. Lord Grim charged forth aggressively before his eyes, but Jiang Botao was well prepared. Empty Waves had already leapt back and used an earthquake sword as Lord Grim activated his movement skills. In this moment, it looked as if Lord Grim's Xing Cut wasn't closing the distance, but rather pushing him to headbutt the earthquake sword. No time to dodge. Most ordinary players would feel this way. However, for a pro player, there was room to dodge even though the two skills were fairly fast. Left or right. Jiang Botao was fixated on Lord Grim's every move. Empty Waves took up another stance after his jump backwards, ready to send out another wave sword as soon as Lord Grim dodged. Turns out, it was neither left nor right. Lord Grim still charged forth, but his shoulders forcefully lurched forward. Reinforced iron bones. Yi Shu chose not to dodge. Rather, he forcefully had Lord Grim activate this striker skill. An increased defense would lessen the damage taken. for a skill like Earthquake Sword that swept away the target. However, the most troublesome thing about Reinforced Iron Bones was the super armor status that it grants. Even so, Reinforced Iron Bones couldn't stop Empty Waves from sending out more attacks. However, this unexpected move from Yi Shu still ended up making Jiang Botao hesitate for an instant. Jiang Botao was still paying all his attention to the left and right sides of his attack. As the silver weapon Divine Chain was raised for another attack, Lord Grimm's hands already sent an object flying. Puff. It was only a soft sound, but thick, purple smoke quickly spread and engulfed the area. Lord Grimm slipped out of Jiang Botao's field of view in a blink. Ninja Tool. Smoke Bomb. Jiang Botao froze. Under the cover of the thick smoke, he had no idea about Lord Grimm's position. The thick smoke continued to spread. Were there any flow currents that seemed irregular? Jiang Botao observed closely. If a character moved within the smoke, it would definitely disrupt its natural spread. Traces of movement could be spotted like this. WuxaWorldAudio.com. But there weren't any. No movement. Impossible. Under this cover, why would Yi Shu not attack? Then there was only one possibility. Jiang Botao's right hand swiped the mouse and his left hand flew across the keyboard. Empty Waves turned, stepped back and Divine Chain slashed outwards. Wave Wheel Slasher. Lord Grimm would suddenly appear behind him with a shadow clone technique. That was Jiang Botao's prediction. Thus, Wave Wheel Slasher was unleashed, with intention to immobilize the opponent with sword waves. The purple smoke swirled and a part of it dissipated, but it didn't find a target. Lord Grimm was nowhere to be seen. Jiang Botao knew at this moment, this is bad. A spurt of blood flew out from Empty Wave's neck. Lord Grimm did indeed appear next to him and mercilessly delivered a cutthroat. Did he use shadow clone technique or some other movement skill? That was no longer important. Jiang Botao only knew that Yi Shu used a timing difference perfectly. He completely predicted Jiang Botao's reaction. Following the cutthroat, the short blade in Lord Grimm's hand flicked again. The assassin knock-up skill, Leaping Blade, sent Empty Waves into their air. Falling Light Blade. However, Empty Waves barely left the ground when he used this swordsman low-level skill, and suddenly plummeted. But, Gore Cross. Two perpendicular lines of blood appeared on Empty Waves' back. He avoided being sent into the air, but Lord Grimm continued his attack and didn't dodge. This skill was chained so quickly that Empty Waves wouldn't have had a chance to completely get airborne. Jiang Botao's quick reaction seemed like it was playing right into Yi Shu's hands. The combo began. Guess what combo I can reach? Yi Shu actually took the time to throw out a message. Obviously, this was targeted towards the fact that Jiang Botao was rarely on the receiving end of a high combo. I don't think it will be that high, and Jiang Botao actually replied. Under these circumstances, he was still in the mood to chat. Yeah, seems like the combo was just a dream. When Yi Shu sent this message, the combo reset to 0. However, this did not mean Jiang Botao had a chance to escape. Yi Shu's unspecialized Lord Grimm only aimed for the combo effect, and not the combo statistic. Fake combo. His attacks continued to chain beautifully one after another. It really is difficult to deal with. Jiang Botao sighed. A little too many details, right? Yi Shu replied. Yeah, way too many. Jiang Botao had a headache. Jiang Botao could counter Yi Shu to an extent. It looked like this was the wrong call. In reality, Yi Shu's unspecialized countered Jiang Botao. There were too many skills, too many ways to chain skills, and overall too many variations. If Jiang Botao really wanted to consider every detail, his rhythm beginning from his thought process would be slow by a beat. Jiang Botao's brain had no way fully keep up with the amount of details for this opponent. Jiang Botao fell. Even though there were many struggles in the process, it didn't affect the final result. Next time, send someone else up. Ye Xiu smiled. He acknowledged the amount of trouble Jiang Botao had while facing him. Is there still a next time? Jiang Botao was confused. The two teams have already met twice this season. The individual competition was done for them, so when would next time be? Oh, if you guys don't make the playoffs, then I guess there's no next time, Ye Xiu said. This bold presumption of Samsara not making the playoffs again left everyone speechless. End chapter.